Ever wish you could just peek behind the curtain and see who's really checking out your website?
Like, not just numbers and stats, but actual people.
Exactly. Imagine knowing their names, what they do, maybe even their LinkedIn profiles.
Sounds kind of like a marketing superpower.
Well, that's what TrafficID claims to offer, and that's what we're diving into today.
We've got articles, reviews, even a YouTube demo, trying to get the full picture.
So is it really magic? Or just clever marketing? Let's find out.
Right off the bat, what grabbed me is TrafficID says it can identify up to 30% of U.S. visitors.
Wow, 30%, that's more than I expected.
Yeah,
Hold on, does that mean most folks are still invisible?
Yeah, there are limitations. It uses something called a data co-op network, basically, a huge pool of online info.
Uh-huh, so they match website visitors to their profiles using this data?
Exactly. But here's the catch. It mostly works for U.S. traffic due to privacy laws elsewhere.
So global businesses, not so much.
Not as effective, no. But think about it, even identifying a portion of your anonymous visitors.
Yeah, that could be huge. Imagine seeing someone from, like, a Fortune 500 company on your pricing page.
Boom! Suddenly you're not just guessing. You know who they are, what they do, and can tailor your pitch.
That's where it gets really interesting. One review mentioned these hot identified lead filters. Catchy name.
HILF, they call it. Basically, it lets you filter leads based on actions, not just demographics.
Like how long they stay on a page, if they're repeat visitors, that sort of thing.
Exactly. You're spotting the folks who are really engaged, showing strong buying signals.
So instead of blasting everyone with the same generic emails,
You can personalize, target content based on actual interest, how they've interacted with your site.
okay, I'm starting to see the potential here.
Yeah.
But how deep does this rabbit hole go? Just how detailed are these profiles?
Imagine a virtual dossier. Names, emails, sometimes even phone numbers and addresses.
Whoa, hold up. We're talking full-on stalker mode here?
It also includes company details, job titles, LinkedIn profiles, even estimated net worth in some cases.
Wow. That's a lot to unpack. Powerful stuff, but it definitely raises some privacy eyebrows, doesn't it?
For sure. That's something we'll definitely dig into further.
We need to talk about the ethics of all this, for
Yeah.
sure. But before we go there, I'm curious about how this data gets used.
Well, the sources mention everything from email campaigns to targeted ads, even personalizing sales calls.
So it's not just about knowing who's visiting, but about making that information work for you.
It's about turning traffic into actionable insights, leads to more conversions, stronger customer relationships.
This is fascinating stuff. But how does it actually fit into a business's workflow? Is it a standalone tool or...
Good news. It integrates with popular platforms like Go High Level, Slack, even Zapier from what I've seen.
Ah, Zapier, the glue that holds my digital life together. Tell me more about those integrations. What's the magic there?
Well, Go High Level lets you automatically send lead to data from TrafficID into your marketing workflows.
No more manual entry spreadsheet nightmares. Sounds good to me.
And with Slack, you can get real-time alerts when a high-value lead pops up.
So instead of just seeing a blip on my analytics, I can get a Slack message saying, hey, the CEO of X company is checking out your prices.
Exactly. And with Zapier, the possibilities are endless. Connected to your CRM, email platform, you name it.
Sounds like they've really thought about making this data actionable.
Yeah.
But of course, all this power comes at a price, right?
One source mentioned a starting price of $99 per month for 250 leads. There's a 7-day free trial, too.
Not bad, especially considering the level of detail you get. Oh, and there was something about a bonus.
Right. If you sign up through an affiliate link, you get a 20% bump on those leads.
Wait, so 300 leads for the same price just for clicking the right link? That's pretty tempting.
Seems like a good deal, especially for smaller businesses trying to get an edge.
You know, I have to ask, one source mentioned something about a free premium post credit. Any idea what that's about?
I guess there might be some extra perks if you dig around. Definitely worth looking into.
Okay, gotta love a potential freebie. But before we go full gold rush, we need to circle back to that big question. Privacy.
Absolutely. All this cool data comes with responsibilities. We need to dig into how TrafficID handles all that.
Right, because ethics matter. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be back after a short break to tackle that very topic. Okay, so we're back, and let's face it, the big question looming over all this TrafficID coolness is privacy.
Right. How are they pulling all this info without folks even knowing? It's a little unnerving, honestly.
Yeah, kind of feels like digital detective work, but on a massive scale. So how's it actually happening? ethically even.
From what I've gathered, it's a combo of cookies, IP addresses, and that massive data co-op network we mentioned.
Okay, so they're connecting the dots between those bits of data and people's online profiles.
Exactly. But that's why transparency is so crucial. Websites using Traffic ID got to be upfront about it.
Meaning clear privacy policies, not hidden legalese somewhere.
Absolutely. Visitors need to know what's being collected, how it's used, no surprises.
So it's not just about TrafficID following the rules, but website owners being responsible too.
It's a two-way street. Sites benefit from the insights, but they got to protect their visitors' privacy too.
Makes sense. But even with consent, are there other ethical red flags? This data could be misused, right?
Definitely a concern. Imagine companies targeting vulnerable folks with predatory tactics, or worse, discrimination.
That's a scary thought. The data itself might be neutral, but it's how it's USD that matters.
It's like any tool, really. You can build something amazing or cause harm. The choice is in the hands of the user.
Powerful point.
Yeah.
So ethical concerns aside, are there any drawbacks to using TrafficID our listeners should know?
One thing that jumps out is the potential for inaccuracies. They rely on algorithms and external data.
Meaning the info on a lead could be outdated or just plain wrong.
It's possible. So don't take everything at face value. Verify, double-check, use common sense.
It's a tool to inform decisions, not a crystal ball making them for you.
Exactly. Human judgment, marketing savvy, those still matter big time.
Okay, good to remember. Now, we talked about integrations, but it sounds like TrafficID goes beyond just dumping data.
They've really put effort into making it actionable. But there's one thing we didn't mention, the webhook API.
Oh yeah, that was in one of the sources. What's the deal with that? Sounds pretty techy.
Basically, it lets developers build custom integrations, automate stuff based on TrafficID data.
So if you've got a specific workflow or a platform that TrafficID doesn't natively connect to?
The API opens up a whole new world. It's powerful stuff if you know how to use it.
So whether you're a tech whiz or not, there's a way to make TrafficID work for you.
Nice. Flexibility is key. And speaking of which, their pricing isn't one size fits all either.
We talked about the base price, but there's more to it.
For bigger companies with lots of traffic, they have dynamic pricing. Adjusts based on your lead volume.
So you only pay for what you use.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay, got to circle back to transparency one last time. How can sites get it right?
It's more than just slapping a generic privacy policy on your site, you know? Got to actively communicate with visitors.
But I don't want a giant banner screaming, "We're tracking you." That's off-putting.
There's a middle ground. Maybe a pop-up explaining you use a service for personalization linked to your detailed policy.
And of course, give folks a way to opt out if they want to.
It's about being upfront, not sneaky. Using data to improve their experience, not exploit it. Building that trust.
Trust is everything in business, online or offline. All right, we've covered a lot, but before we wrap up, a thought for our listeners.
Go for it.
Imagine you could suddenly see who's on your site, their interests. What would you change about your marketing?
Interesting question. Would you tweak content, pricing, maybe your whole sales approach?
Lots to ponder, right?
Yeah.
It's not about easy answers, but TrafficID forces us to think differently.
It's a challenge to use this tech ethically, effectively. As technology keeps evolving, this conversation is crucial.
We all need to be part of it. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into TrafficID.
We've explored a lot. Features, benefits, the ethical side, even tips for using it responsibly.
Now, it's up to you, our listener, to decide what it all means for your business. Do your research, think critically.
And most importantly, use this tech wisely, ethically, because ultimately it's about more than just data.
It's about building relationships, delivering value. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep. All right, we're back for one last look at TrafficID. Really dug deep on this one, huh?
Yeah, from those aha moments of identifying visitors to the whole ethical maze of data. Quite a journey.
And that's where I want to land this plane. We've geeked out on the features, but the big decision for businesses.
Is whether TrafficID fits their values, their goals. No tool's a silver bullet, right?
Right, got to keep it real. So let's boil it down for our listeners. Key takeaways, things to think about before jumping in.
Number one, know what it can and can't do. It can reveal some visitors, give you insights.
But it's not going to magically transform your marketing overnight. It takes work, strategy, all that good stuff.
It's about using data smartly, making better choices, personalizing things.
But always ethically. And that brings us back to transparency, which is non-negotiable in my book.
Absolutely. Using TrafficID means being upfront with your visitors. How's data collected, used? No hiding it.
Make it clear, concise, give folks a way out if they want. No pressure, just respect.
Builds trust, right. And without trust, you got nothing. It's good for ethics A&D business, long term.
Win-win.
Ah.
All right, before we say goodbye, a little food for thought for everyone listening.
Tit me.
Imagine you could suddenly see who's on your site, what they care about. How would you change your approach?
That's a good one. Would you tailor content? Maybe tweak pricing or how you talk to different folks?
Gets the wheels turning, doesn't it? No easy answers, but that's the point. TrafficID makes us think deeper.
It's a challenge to use this kind of tech right. And as tech keeps advancing, this conversation's more important than ever.
You all got to be part of it. So there you have it, folks, and that's our TrafficID deep dive laid out for you.
Features, benefits, the ethical side. Hopefully gave you some solid info to chew on.
Now it's your turn. Do your homework, weigh the pros and cons, but most importantly,
use this tech wisely, thoughtfully. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about data.
it's about connecting with people, building real relationships. So until next time, keep exploring, keep learning.
And keep diving deep.